What else? Okay, as of we're recording this, Supernatural is almost done, but not done yet. And I don't watch Supernatural. I stopped watching Supernatural after 8 seasons because I binged the entire thing in my second semester of college. I'm trying to think, did I make Dean's List that semester? I'm not sure I did. I spent a lot of time not doing schoolwork. Did I? No. When did I? For freshman year of college, one semester I got Dean's List, one I didn't. No, second semester I didn't because I think I took a math class, and we all know that was going to end up well. So I watched Supernatural in college. When I start watching, I think it was 7 seasons, or was in the process of airing the 8th, I think. And I remember completing the 8th season, and then I had to stop because it was too much, man. It was too much. What
was the thing of because they're on there the 15th, which is their last
final season, 15th, yes.
And then they had to stop production because of COVID, and then they're back in production.
So their episodes are done filming. They're airing now. I think it's just the finale that's left
to film.
No, to air.
Oh,
yeah. So we're almost there.
Oh,
did you not hear the Supernatural thing?
I knew that it was ending.
No, that got people in a tizzy.
No, what happened?
Freaking hilarious.
What happened?
Okay.
Because it's a show I wanted to for this show, eventually, even though it's gonna. Oh my god. Because that means that you gotta finish it because I haven't seen any of it.
Okay, I cannot watch any more seasons of that show.
But if we gotta do it, but for this show, would you?
I would stop at season 5. Because the season 5
But then people are going to get mad at us for nothing.
No, they're going to understand. If they've seen the show, they're going to understand.
I'm going to want to finish it because I'm a completionist.
Okay. Any consolation. The show was supposed to end after 5 seasons.
Yeah,
5 seasons
I've heard that.
is the arc that everything finished. And then they just ordered another season. Season 6 is terrible. Terrible season. They didn't know what they were doing. There's some weird stuff, weird character things they did. Weird. 7 was okay. 8 kind of was getting back on the track. And then I had to stop. I'm like, this show is the dead horse that you keep beating. Please stop. And then they went ahead, of course, made 7 seasons after that. Why? Why did you do it? Anyway.
What happened?
So Supernatural was super big on Tumblr back in the day. Supernatural has some kind of cornerstone moments in online fandom culture, because it was part of the OG Super Hulock. If you remember, it hurts my tongue to say those words.
I've seen video. I've seen those videos of people music videos of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I've seen Super Hulock because I've seen 2 of those shows.
I actually saw somebody that still had a Super Hulock sticker. I'm not talking about a sticker for each of the 3. I'm talking about one.
Do we need to explain what that is?
Super Hulock. All right, it's 2012. Here we go. It's 2012. And Tumblr is a thing, and it's really popular. And the most popular fandoms on Tumblr, arguably, but the most powerful of the fandoms that people have a shared commonality with are Supernatural, Doctor Who, and Sherlock.
Oh, I see.
So there's a lot of crossover here, and so a lot of people who like one show, they end up liking 3 shows. So it's a big Venn diagram kind of thing. So these fandoms converge and form the Super Hulock fandom. It is infamous in just it was just big and a lot and pretty. I'm not gonna call it cringe. But the memory of it feels very cringe.
I had a question. So I've only seen people make those montage music videos on YouTube, and I just watch them to listen to the song mainly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do that.
But I know Tumblr.
Yeah.
Is any of this fanficky or shipping-ish?
God, I'm so glad you asked. Okay.
I know about the Sherlock shipping stuff because as somebody who's watched 3 seasons, which I want to do eventually because at least the first 3 seasons are very good. Mm-hmm. I know about a lot of the shipping.
Yeah, no, the shipping was a big deal. Fun fact, Supernatural kicked off the ABO genre, which is the Alpha, Beta, Omega. Oh God, have you not heard about this?
I just know that there was people shipped Dean and Sam.
No, they're brothers.
I know they're brothers.
I mean, people did ship
No,
them.
I understood they're brothers, but I know that people ship them.
No. Okay. Side note. This is okay. We're gonna put a pin in that statement. We're gonna put a pin in that. But ABO is the. Have you watched Lindsay Ellis's recent thing about the Omegaverse?
No, because I.
But you know what Omegaverse is?
No.
If
it's fanfic or ship related, I have no idea.
It's okay. It's like a genre of fiction that uses. It's basically like assigning wolf traits to humans and then having them fuck.
Okay.
So like you should watch. I gotta send you Lindsay Ellis's video because I think you would appreciate it.
I think I've seen it. I guess because like
there's a whole like this lawsuit about it. It's great. But anyway, the ABO Omegaverse thing had its origins in supernatural fanfiction. So like thank you Supernatural for gifting that to us. But yeah, speaking of which means kind of has this it's shippy, right? So there's and shipping is of course happening all over. So of course you're talking about the John Long thing, which is like a whole big thing. And then
yes, it is.
In the supernatural fandom, like that degree of ship, like their big ship was Dean and Castiel, which is
Misha Collins.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That guy. So pretty cool guy as far as I know. So it's like a big thing where people like shipped that forever, like long like essays about like why I think it's canon or like why I think it should be canon.
Oh wait, what happens in the finale?
So
I really can stop.
So no, okay, we're getting there.
Okay,
this is a journey. Like we are, like we're not
feels like a journey.
We're not just driving to the Wawa, all right. We're driving to the Sheets in Pittsburgh. Like we gotta
why are we
get
going
in,
to Sheets?
And we gotta. Well, we don't have Wawa in Pittsburgh, so we gotta settle it. So anyway,
I need a drink, don't I?
So yes.
Do you want to finish this?
No, it's okay. You got this. So yes, that was the big ship. Like for years, it was a big thing. And it's there's a lot of debate of like where these shippers come from. Because is it just like the section of just like girls and women who are fetishizing like a male ex-male relationship, or is it because it's a lot of impressionable young girls who are shipping that, who are really just end up being like somewhere on the LGBT spectrum? I think it's a little bit of both. So we can debate on that about where the importance of that lies. Anyway, so it's a big thing for like years and years, and people like of course like fangirls at comments being like at the they have conventions, and the conventions being like, I was just wondering, like I have this question, do you think like they're gonna be canon or stuff? And it's been something that's like been pretty like vehemently denied over the course, and there's some questionable things about like how actors respond, blah 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 blah. So in the third to last episode that just aired a couple weeks ago, there is a scene where the character of Castiel, played by Misha Collins, is about apparently. So I don't know what's happening this season, so I'm just like grabbing these things from like I'm getting this information like pretty secondhand, and it's very funny. So apparently he's about to like die again. So the freaking problem with Supernatural is that
they die. Don't they die a lot?
There's so much death. Like death doesn't mean anything anymore. Which is
anyway.
Which like makes sense in certain degrees, but not in others. I have feelings about cheapening death as a concept. I was going off on a friend last night about this. But aside from that, so apparently Castiel's about to die and get sent to superhell, which is apparently different than regular hell, but everyone's saying superhell, and I'm very confused, and I kind of want to know, but I really don't want to know because I don't want to invest my time in this again. So apparently he's just gonna get so then he has a scene where poor little Misha Collins just pouring his little actor heart out. He's just trying to act up his best because I guess this is it. And he has a scene where he's telling Dean, because they are in the show, they are close. They have like a close bond. But which people are like, is it romantic? And it's not supposed to be portrayed as romantic, at least as far as we know.
Wasn't like a thing of like males can't really have close bonds without people thinking that it's romantic? I remember hearing that a lot with like Lord of the Rings.
That's what people. We can talk about. We're going to put a pin in that and then get back to that because I think that's a really interesting concept. But yeah, so it gives like this. So like these characters are tight. So Cass, before he's about to die, gives this like speech about like what Dean means to him, and like it's emotional. I can't bring myself to watch the whole thing. I've only seen like little clips. It's very hard because it's like opening. Like I wasn't even a big shipper like in general of like or like the biggest fan of Supernatural, and even when I watched it, like I liked it, but still even just like opening it up feels like I'm going back in the tags of 2012 Tumblr, and it's like a lot for me to handle emotionally. So like this is just difficult. But like in this scene there is like it's saying all these nice things, and it's like because I love you, and you can interpret that a few different ways because people always do, and I'll talk about this thing. But it is in its own way. It's this character saying I love you to this character, and like people came out of the woodwork to be like, what? What? So because it does feel like a love confession, and it's compounded by like some really funny factors here. Because when people are like, oh my god, Destiel is canon after like so many years. But just the setup of this scene is so freaking funny because the actor who plays Dean just like looks like he's staring at a wall and is not portraying any emotion on his face whatsoever. Like he looks like uncomfortable to be there. And of course after he like does says I love you, he gets sent to like superhell. So people are like, this is the most homophobic gay scene I've ever seen in my life. Because like the one actor doesn't even look like they don't even look like they're in the same room with
they
like,
might not have been.
They might not have been, but it's just very funny. So I like lost my mind at this. Like I heard this information, I start like sweating. I don't know why I started sweating. It's just like it's just very funny because it's like this thing that you didn't think was gonna ever be a thing, but like is it a thing now? We don't really know. But it's also like done in just like the piss poorest way. I'm sure they probably could have done it. Because
just to please everybody,
right? Well, it's like undone under the impression well, do you know what we call that, Dara? When a show will try to like do something that gives some level of like representation, or like it feels like they're giving something to the fans, but they're not actually giving it to them in regards to gay characters, queer characters, in that kind of sense. Do you know what we call that?
Bullshit.
Queerbaiting.
That was
queerbaiting. Yeah. So it's one of those things where I think there's been some queerbaiting like throughout the years on Supernatural. I'm not even sure in regards to just that, but just like a few other things. It's in with how the creator's been and like this and that and this and that. It's been very queerbaiting, and it felt like and again, like I friggin' didn't even watch this season, have not watched it in years because like but it's just really funny to me. So this came about, and everyone is making jokes that it's like the most like homophobic like love confession they've ever seen, just because there's something like very uncomfortable feeling about it.
I guess like the way like you described it, it kind of just sounds like two people who are very, very close saying that they love each other, and like it's hard for like males to do that because it's like a very emotional thing, which men are not supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, I think there's some additional
or it's queerbaiting. I don't know.
Well, there's some additional context I think in the speech that's given that kind of like swings it in a way that's not that extends beyond a platonic confession. I think the actor has said it was meant to be like more than that. But it's just really funny. So I think the actor has said it was confirmed that it was supposed to be like a non-platonic thing. And of course, and that's the thing with we can kind of touch on 2 points here when it comes to gay things happening in TV. Because there's people that are like, they're like, listen, you, like, I'm fine with the gay stuff, but don't shove it in my face. But then if you do anything slightly more subtle than shoving it directly in their face, they go like, well, that's not gay. They just buddies. They just
Corin and Sami are definitely just buddies.
But it's exactly the same thing that happened with Korosami, except Korosami is
canon.
Is canon and good, and nobody dies, and I love them, and it's very special.
They're in comics.
So, but like it's the same exact thing with Kurosawa, right? If nobody is directly being like, I love you in a romantic sense, please be my significant other in a married way that is also romantic and sometimes sexual. Like unless you're doing it like that, like people, they don't get it. But then those very same people will be like, well, I don't have a problem with it. Just stop shoving it in my face. You don't understand when it's presented in a subtle way. You go, well, that's not. They're just like friends. They held hands and walked off into the spirit world together. That's just what good buddies do. I don't get it. So that it's really funny to see that come out of this as well. But it's another thing that like I think we don't give media enough credit for like how much male friendship there is, because I do think there is a fair amount. Yeah. And it's like, well, why can't they do that about being gay? Well, it's like if you look at the actual number of those that turned out being actual romantic relationships, it was very little.
Okay.
It's very little. So it's one of those things where I think no matter what, if you have like, you know, two men in a friendship, I think shippers are always going to jump onto it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's intended or that's what they're going to do with it. So that's kind of how I feel about that. So it's one of those things where it's like, and I think that we don't, there's a lot of male friendship that I think doesn't get, not intimate, but as far as like have that same emotional softness, because it's mostly just like, you know, guys being dudes, we're cool with each other. And I do agree that there's not that same level of like softness that there could be in a way that's like very platonic. But it's like, I think we do need more of that. But at the same time, I think people are like, why do you always have to make it into a gay thing? Well, most of the time it doesn't even end up being that way anyway. Yeah. So so I just needed to tell you about that, and it's such a shame that we're recording this before the finale airs, because I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm not going to watch because I can't bring myself to do it.
You're going to find out.
But I will find out, and I'm very curious to see what happens. I'm sure it's going to be some kind of super BS. And also, stop killing your gay characters. Stop doing it.
Well, because it sounds like it's almost done. Do we think he's dead?
I mean, nobody's ever really dead in the show, but like there's some theories about like how they could make it worse than it already is. And I'm very curious to see if that turns out. But oh man, they could somehow make it worse, and I'm sure they probably will, because my expectations are that low.
I guess like because like I think I mentioned at one point there's like some episodes like that of like we recorded like reviews and stuff where like I kind of felt like stuff was like queer baiting when people were like saying like give Elsa a girlfriend or like stuff with Star Wars, and then like my kind of realizing that was kind of like a bias that I had, which I still think is like part of it that like I'm working on, because like obviously like I don't like my thing was like, oh like, great, they're gay, who cares, like that kind of thing, but like realizing that like that's not how you should act, right? That there you have to understand like the significance. Like I'm like I don't think like I'd be like, what else does the character do? Like, they're gay, why does the fact that they're gay matter? But I'm like, it does matter because it's part of them. So that kind of thing. But then I'm also like that was kind of my bias. I think like I've worked through it a bit better over time. Yeah, which is how growth works. Growth. Yay. But then I think I was like realizing as he's saying this, like I guess like I'm kind of confused about like when is something considered queer baiting or like when is it not? Because like sometimes I'm like I think like something's good, yeah, but then somebody says it's queer, like you're like to me like I think it was like some stuff like I would interpret differently, but like and maybe I'm wrong, but like for me like the Beauty and the Beast thing is to me queer baiting. I think that may be accurate. In the live action movie. Yeah. I that probably qualifies under queer baiting. I'm not like academic, you know, expert on like what is queer baiting, what's not, but I have a pretty decent idea. I've been around for a while. I'm trying to think of like other stuff. Like I think the only other things I'm thinking of like it was already established like this character was like gay, and I'm like okay. Yeah, and it's more like queer baiting is like when they like hint at it either for like a comedic effect or like, you know, just kind of hint around so they feel like they're giving a bone to like the viewers who like want that kind of thing, but they never actually follow through with it. But like if it's like if it kind of like comes off as it but then like they turn into something really good, is that kind of or was like that's different. Yeah. Okay. I mean there's a difference between like a slow burn relationship and just like, you know, teasing your viewers without following through. And sometimes teasing something can be funny in a way, but it can be damaging, especially like in context of
like the queer community, LGBTQ community, as far as like still like things are getting better, but there's still a way to go. So because they're so like there hasn't been a lot of that representation, to kind of deprive people of that is kind of shitty.
I mean, they get it, and then they get tragically killed off.
Yeah.
Which is also...
And they get sent to super hell. Not even regular hell, but super hell. What is super hell? I don't know what super hell is. I still don't know.
Apparently it's worse than hell. I think, like, all I've ever seen of Supernatural, for some reason, I think I saw bits of, like, the Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah, because that was pretty popular when it came out.
What sounds like, I mean, like, if they just, like, did it for 7 years where there wasn't, like, a plot to the show, they were just like, let's just do these fun episodes.
Yeah. Well, Supernatural started off as a Monster of the Week show. And it was fun. Like, it was like exploring, like, actual, like, supernatural things as a Monster of the Week thing. Like, most of the time it was, you know, some kind of, like, freaky ghost thing. And then they had to, like, figure out, you know...
Yeah.
Did it fix the ghosty problem? So, like, that's what it started out as. It started out as a Monster of the Week show, and then it, like, went, like, really off the rails.
Yeah.
So.
I do have one more question to Tumblr expert Cailin over here. Mm-hmm. So, like, Super Hulock.
Yeah.
I know very little about it, but I've obviously heard of all the shows in it. So, like, do they all ship with each other? Or is it, like, they have to ship within the show?
Most of the time they ship within the show. There's some people who would do that.
Who do you ship with Doctor Who, then? I know you don't watch it, but, like, I'm kind of thinking of, like...
I actually don't know what... I think that the big ones that are, like, ship were, like we said, it's more of the Sherlock and Supernatural. I don't actually know, like, if there are any rabid
because, like, you can't... It's weird shipping,
Who.
like, different incarnations of the Doctor, because that's just himself.
Right. Yeah.
And then, like, I get it with, like, companions, because, like, people still do that, and, like, sometimes it's, like, alluded to be canon.
Yeah.
And then most of the time it's not. Mm-hmm. Which, like, fine, which is, like, you know... Mm-hmm. But when we do Doctor Who eventually, whenever that ends. I don't know. People are not really liking, like, some stuff with the recent stuff. I don't know if it's... I've heard, like, plot points, and I'm like, can we just give it, like, let's give it a chance?
Right.
But I know, like, episodes have been cut back, which, like, usually isn't good. Mm-hmm. But then I'm also like, maybe it's just because of COVID.
Yeah, I think it's a tough time.
I mean, clearly some people were upset about the fact that there's a woman doctor. Get over it.
Oh, no, she's a lady. But how can she be smart with her lady bits?
Well, I think it's like the idea of the doctor's been a white guy for almost 60 years.
Right, you gotta change it.
You gotta change it. And, like, it was established that was possible.
Right.
Like, for a while, I was, like, wondering, like, can they do a woman doctor? Because I thought it wasn't possible within, like, the lore.
Yeah.
But then they established that it was, and I'm like, okay.
Then let's do it.
Let's do it. And they did it, and Jodie Whittaker is a lovely actress.
I've seen, like, clips of her. I'm like, yeah. I've been like, yeah.
She's good. I just know there's a plot point that, like, people were upset about, but I'm not on that season yet, so, like, maybe it wasn't talked about very well, but then I think people were just upset about it, like, the second that it happened.
Oh, okay.
And I'm kind of like, if something happens, let's see it play out.
Right.
Right away. Mm-hmm. Not right away, but, like, don't get upset until you see it play out. If it plays out poorly, you can be upset. But... for now, let's maybe see where they're going.
Right. Yeah, because you have to sometimes you need that completed arc to give it the context you need to actually, like, properly judge it. Yeah.
And then people are kind of, like, going back and saying, like, well, this era was a lot better. It's kind of like a Star Wars thing of, like, people, like, going back.
No one's ever happy?
No one's ever. Sometimes people are very happy. Like, I could still, like Star Wars is just a mess. The fandom in general. Like, at least, like, with Doctor Who, like, you can tell that, like, some people are upset and that some people actually are quite happy.
Yeah.
So, that kind of thing. But I know, like, people were saying, like, it's one episode which is I think is very bad. Or was like, it's underrated. Mm-hmm. It's actually pretty good. And I think they're just upset because they don't like the current stuff. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Right.
But, so, yeah, there was that. I think I wanted to mention something. Because it was something... I had, like, this whole bit set up for, like, a long time.
Ooh.
That I was going to do on this show. And then we just never got around to...
Oh.
I think, like, no, I never got around to doing it. And then I did it. And then I think we just never did another random episode, so we can never talk about it. Mm-hmm. But it is something... And it was, like, in the news recently because it got, like, shut down.
Okay.
So I did a free trial for Quibi.
Oh, you did a Quibi. Tell me about your Quibi adventure.
I did a free trial.